Absolute Geezers, welcome to another episode of Football Is, and that is what I want, Manager Lockdown Chat. Tonight, I'm really happy to welcome not one, but two guests on the show tonight. I've got Ross Harris and I've got Grant Joshua, the management team at Lighttown. How you doing, guys?
Good, mate, thank you. Yeah, good, mate. Thanks for having us on. Appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, guys. Thank you so much for coming on. As we know, the whole season was cancelled, non-league. They've seen League One and League Two now. The season's completely finished today. So what I really want to do is just get your opinion on the cancellation of the season, Grant. What do you think, mate?
Yeah, I mean, from a personal point of view, like I say, I think I might be quite different to everybody else, where I'm of the opinion where it probably should have been cancelled maybe a week earlier, really. Like I say, we had good dialogue with myself, and we were due to play Boldmere. So I was in good dialogue with Kitch. It was both agreed that we would go ahead, but really, I mean, I'd have felt a lot more comfortable if, like, the FA would have taken it out of our hands, or somebody would have gave us some guidelines where they could have put the brakes on maybe a week or even two earlier, because we all kind of knew how badly the outbreak was out of control. So, like I say, it was just a bit disappointing that we kept going for another couple of weeks, really, when I think personally it should have been cancelled. I know that's not the opinion of everybody, and I totally get that. Football's a game of opinions, but mine, from a personal point of view, I think it should have been cancelled a week, maybe 2 weeks previous to when it actually did.
Well, I mean, I've been quite vocal, I think everybody knows, across social media, in believing that I felt the season was cancelled a bit too early. But then when you listen to it from a different perspective, like you are saying here, you know, these lads are quite literally going on the pitch at that point and potentially putting their lives on the line. So to hear it from your point of view there, it actually makes it's a side of the argument that I'm actually happy to hear.
We had two lads, and like I say, I've never let it be known. We had two lads that dropped out on the Friday night because they didn't feel safe. Like I said, they didn't want to play. They didn't want to risk infecting friends, family, like I say, close relatives. So yeah, that's the kind of side that people don't see, that these lads were big enough and brave enough to pick up the phone and say, look, I can't make it. I just don't feel safe. And like I say, I'll back those two lads 100%. Even though it weakened us on the day, you've got to look at the bigger picture. It's not about a game of football. It's like I say, it's about life and death, and we've seen how out of control that it actually got. So yeah. I really respect those lads for like calling up and saying, nah, not for me today.
I mean, I think for me, it speaks volumes, the fact that your players feel they can come to you and speak to you and say, look, with what's happening, Gaffer, I just don't feel ready to play the game. You know, the trust they must have in you to know that you're not going to, you know, chastise them for it and make them play the game, essentially. Speaks volumes, doesn't it, really, essentially? But what I wanted to ask you, and I'll go to you, Grant, and then I'll come to you afterwards, Ross, is, you know, how are you getting on with the lockdown? How has it affected your plans for the club?
It's been a bit of a strange one, really. It's new for everybody, isn't it? It is what it is at the minute. You've just kind of got to make do with everything that's going on. Like I say, it's not been too bad for us. We've been in regular contact with our players, not the staff. We have Zoom meetings with the chairman, general manager, every single Tuesday. So we have kept in good communication with everybody. Like I say, I've done my best to ring around every single player just to see if they're okay, family's okay, if they need anything, need any advice, anything at all. Just kind of help them along the way. Because like I say, we've got a few young lads, and if they haven't got the right support behind them, then like I say, I'm the next point of call, and Ross is the next point of call, and the club's the point of call, really. So like I say, it's not been too bad. Like I say, I'd much rather be at football on a Saturday than at a garden centre, but it is what it is. we'll get there eventually.
What about you, Ross? What are your thoughts on the garden centre on a Saturday, mate?
I've been to many, to be honest, over the last 2-3 months. I can't even tell you the amount. Hopefully it won't happen when the season starts again. I'll be expecting Saturdays, but it is what it is. In terms of the season itself and finishing up early, I think it wasn't what any of us wanted. We just got to a situation where we've been 2, 3, 4 games in and started to get things to look just how we wanted them to. And obviously, COVID-19 came around, the season had to end for reasons beyond our control. But I think, other than that, I think it's given me, Grant, the management team, the lads, time to recoup and sort of get our sights back on what the club's expectations are, because the season that we had leading up to that point was nowhere near what a Lightown team should be. And I think it's given everybody the chance to reflect and realise that next season, it just can't be the same. We have to turn the corner and put the season to bed.
Well, it's funny you say that, actually, to be fair, Ross, and this leads into my next question. I'll come to you first, Grant, then I'll come back to you, Ross. It's a tough division that you're in. Let's make no mistake about that. The Midland Prem is a really tough division where there are clubs at the bottom of the table that can quite easily, on their day, beat the clubs at the top of the table. A lot of clubs in that division have already been doing their business, going about looking at players. How does that affect your plans for the season and your targets?
To be fair, mate, you're absolutely bang on. It's a tough league. It was always going to be difficult. Like I say, whatever position we were in going into next season, like I say, if this wouldn't have come around and the top 4 and they were regionalising all the leagues, everything, you're still going to be in a tough league. But to be in the same league that we're in, it's like I say, it's going to be tough. There's some top teams in there. Very good teams that, like I say, we've got to get up to their level, because, like Ross said, it was unacceptable last season. For a Lightown team, it can't happen. It won't be accepted next season. And like I say, we're just relishing playing all the bigger teams. Like I say, I've got good relationships with some of the managers. They are doing business. Some are doing business now. Some you'll get a lot of business going through July the 1st, I would say, when the actual forms come out. But every single manager at the minute's got a target list. You've got your top targets, your seconds, your thirds, and everybody will be doing business behind the scenes, whether they say they are or they're not. You'll get a few fibs along the way, but everybody, every single manager will be looking to strengthen the squad for next season.
What about you there, Ross? I mean, like you said, and you're quite vocal there, the fact that it wasn't acceptable last season with Lai. I can hear it in your voice, the passion there. Is there almost a want to prove that Lai aren't about that, and moving forward, it's going to be a completely different team?
Like Grant said, I think it's about achieving as close to the top as we can. When I've played there previously, played against Lightown as a team, it was never a nice place to go. It was always intimidating. You knew you were going to have to battle for 3 points. I think if we allow anything less than that this season, we're not doing ourselves or the club any justice. In terms of targets and bringing players in, I think we've got ours in mind, do we want, and obviously other teams have got theirs, but I think a lot of it's going to come down to financial budgets that they've got now, because obviously teams threw vast amounts of money at players last season to try and get out of the division and finish rightly so in the positions they did. But it looks like it's sort of backfired a little bit, because now the season's been called to a close, teams don't get promoted and teams don't get relegated. It's a clean slate, but some teams will be minus the money now, so they might not have the best opportunity for the season going forward.
Yeah, it's interesting you say about the finance side of it there, Ross. I mean, as we know, the season was cancelled. We didn't have a clue where things were going. But the one thing we did know was that fines were going to be upheld, bans were going to be upheld. But as opposed to the money side of it, it completely destroyed what people were looking at for budgets. So for you guys to have that plan of where you're going to be going this season, it sounds positive, which is brilliant. But I really want to come back to you on something there, Ross, and just touch on something else there. And that's how are the lads feeling about coming back when the season does eventually get here? You know, we don't know when it is, but what's the mood around the camp with the guys?
From our chat, everybody's really lively. Everybody's eager to get back. I mean, I think they're feeling as much as myself and Grant, or probably yourself, Dan, just being stuck in the house on a Saturday training. It's not ideal. Like your Tuesdays, your Thursdays, your Saturdays, your time to enjoy yourself and let off any steam. I think from what the lads are saying, everybody's eager to get back at it. We've brought in a new coach to the team he'll work the lads hard. And I think it's only going to be a positive when we get the nod and we can all get back on that pitch and get together as a unit. What
about you, Grant? I bet as the gaffer, you must be absolutely raring to get back on that football pitch and get your ideas across.
You've got to be chomping at the bit to get back. I mean, it's every single manager you talk to or any single person who's involved in football just wants to get back on the training pitch and get in and around the lads, get your camaraderie back, get your team spirit back up. It's as much about that than the football side of it. It's they're both really important in the modern day game. So yeah, we can't wait to get back. All our plans are in place. We've just got to wait for that green light where we can start back. Like I said, we can start in groups of 6, and we've set a date in our minds when we're going to start back with like multiple groups of 6. But everybody wants that contact back and just mixing with all your teammates, really. So yeah, it's getting closer.
Oh, I'm completely with you, Ross, mate. I don't even like playing FIFA that much, but there's only so much FIFA and Football Manager that you can get in, really, isn't there? 2-part question really going to come to you, Grant, here. The first one being, just how important is it to have such a good coaching setup around you?
Massive. I mean, it's impossible to do it on your own. You can't do it on your own. No matter how good you think you are, you still need people around you. You need people that you can trust. So like I say, we've got quite a big coaching staff, but every single person on that coaching staff has a role and responsibility. So everybody knows what they're doing, well drilled. Like I say, we have got quite a few. Some like it, some don't. Some have little remarks about our staff, about how many we've got, but it's each to their own. Like I say, I want a big staff because we've all got different qualities, what we can bring to that group of 18 to 20 players. So never in a million years, we're gone are the days where you can just have a manager and assistant manager. You need a whole squad. Like I say, your staff are your bread and butter. Players will come and go, but your staff, like I say, you've got to stick with your staff, and I trust every single one of them, to be honest. And like I said, we can't wait to get started.
Yeah, well, I mean, gone are the days where you look back and you're seeing, a manager just solely running the club on his own. I think it's so important for players nowadays. So when things aren't going their way, to look on the bench and see that they've got a whole team there, the unity of a coaching staff. I mean, Ross, I'll come back to you. It must be quite positive knowing that, you're not overrun as a coach. There's a few of you there. You're able to specialise in certain aspects of the team. What do you think?
Definitely, I think when you're watching the games as well, like Grant might be focusing on a different aspect to myself, and you pick up different things that others don't. We've got the coaches behind us. We've got the physio. Everybody's there as a unit to try and do the best for the club possible. And like Grant said, I think we have had a bit of criticism in terms of whether it's age or not the amount of stuff we've got. But at the end of the day, the results are going to be the thing that prove that. And myself, Grant, and the rest of the management team got no doubt at all that we'll prove people wrong. I mean, it's a massive credit to Brian, the chairman, for giving us that opportunity in the first place, because we are a young management team coming out of the game quite young. But we've all got our own qualities, like Grant's just touched on. We've all got our own personal preference to take charge of during like team talks, training, and what have you. So it can only be a plus and a positive having such a good team behind us.
Yeah, well, I mean, something we touched on off camera there, Grant, and I want to come back to you with regards to this is football's a toxic place where people have a lot of opinions. I know there's been comments sort of made about age, experience. How do you really want to answer anything that has been sort of mentioned with regards to this? What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, Dan, experience. I can't touch the experience side of it. it's totally against me. That I can't do anything about it. There's no point dwelling on it, moaning about it. Everybody's got to say. It really makes no difference to me, to be honest. People see it as a disadvantage, but like I say, I see it as a massive plus and a massive advantage, because, like I say, there'll be very few managers who, like I say, who are quite close to the players, can relate to the players. Like I say, we've only just, like I say, I've been out the game probably a bit longer than Ross, but like I say, even myself, only 2.5 years out the game, playing straight into, I'm going to say, assistant manager role, and now the management role. But it's people's criticism. It's always going to be there about inexperience and little slide jabs. But look, it is what it is. Everybody's got a job to do, and we're more than capable of holding our own in step 5. And like I say, I wouldn't have took the job if I didn't believe that, because, like I say, I've got so much respect for the football club that I would never, ever put myself in a position where, if I wasn't ready, I wouldn't have just said to the chairman, "Yeah, let's do it." Like I say, I went away to learn, get prepped, get ready, and like I say, it's come earlier than I expected. But that doesn't mean that we're not ready as a staff, or I'm not ready as a manager. It's just nonsense, really. It's everybody's got an opinion, but their opinions are totally irrelevant for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like a double-edged sword, really, isn't it? In the sense of, talk about experience and not potentially having enough of it, but coming out of the game like Ross has, like you did a couple of years ago, Grant. You always have that connection with the players, whereas opposed to managers who've been in the game for a long time, there's always that danger of them losing that connection. Players quite rightly so don't like the rollickings that they used to get. Back 15, 20 years ago, they hate that now. In fact, so do you find that sort of almost advantageous? Being just coming out of the game there, Ross, that you can speak to the players and connect with them.
I think it is. I think personally myself, I've noticed there's such a difference between the younger lads of today in comparison to when I started out playing. The mentality of actually wanting to be at a club and enjoying it, or the fact of just being there to pick up money, and that's across various leagues. It's bizarre to think that people just turn up to pick up £10s and £15 to play football. When me and Grant played, you'd have ran through a wall for whatever manager you had. It weren't about picking up anything. It was a case of, this is what I enjoy, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to give 100% for my manager, my coach, and I'll run through a wall for my team. And I think this is what me and Grant want to get back into life as a club. We're not there for anything financially. We're there as a club to get to the top of that division and work as hard as we can as a unit to just kick on.
Yeah, and I'm kind of going off non-league here essentially when I say this, but up until recently, I only actually found out that you got paid to play for England. I mean, that's the highest privilege for me, playing for your country. And there are a lot of people. I'm one of them. Would happily play for 15, 20 quid a week. Just to be able to play amateur football, semi-professional football. It's a dream, isn't it? Some guys, and you hear of these players that will move on to a club 50, 60 miles away for an extra £10 a week, and you think, well, you're wasting that in fuel. So I don't understand it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that kind of goes into my next question. Actually, is sort of, how much does a cup run, playing in the cup competitions, mean financially to a club like Lytown?
For every club, to be fair, like the main ones, it's got to be the FA Cup and the FA Vars, really. Not quite sure what'll happen with the FA Cup if we don't start back by November. I can't imagine anybody will be in there. Not sure about the Vars either, but like I say, if everything was normal, the FA Vars it's massive for any non-league club. That's your pinnacle of your cup competition. Good money, but again, you get good draws. You can go away anywhere in the country. Like I say, it's a feel-good factor because it's a distraction from whether you're having a good season, whether you're having a bad season. It's always good to get in a good run in a cup competition, and who knows who you could draw along the way in that FA Vars. Like I say, we played Histon not last year, the year before. brilliant spectacle, brilliant game. I think we lost 2-1 in the end, but it was just that magic of a cup game, really, which it was a welcome distraction from the league, and it's I would say it's just a cup game always feels more special. I'm not sure why. It just anything about a cup game, it just you get the bigger crowds, the better atmosphere. And like I say, if you can go somewhere in the country where you haven't been before to a new ground or a new area, it's always that little bit more special.
Well, I'll come back to Ross on this situation and ask you this. Do you find that it could be a welcome distraction if the campaign isn't going so well in the league? You've almost got just that 90 minutes for the lads to just give it all. There's only one winner in a cup game. What are your thoughts?
I think pretty much like Grant said, we had a situation ourselves at Lowe where we were due to play Pershore in a cup fixture, which would have come at a perfect time for us because we were just finding our feet, getting to know a little bit about the players, and it was something we were looking forward to. I think there was probably 2, maybe 3 games left before reaching the final. So they put themselves in a great position, and it was an opportunity for us there to win something for the club. On such a poor season, it'd been nice to go away and think, we're a big club, we need to win trophies, and to pick up a trophy during that season would have been a fantastic achievement for ourselves, but for the club as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? It just it creates such a buzz around the club, not just with the players, but with the fans and with the board. So, yeah, I agree. Competitions are definitely important. With regards to the season coming, whenever that may be, what are you looking forward to?
Like I say, I'm looking forward to getting all the players back. Like I say, we've still got business to do. Like I say, we want to bring in maybe 4 or 5. It has to be quality over quantity for us next season because we've already got a good group. They didn't perform last season for one reason or another. It's like I say, that can be down to anything at all, off the field, on the field, man management, confidence, morale, anything. But like I say, we need 4 or 5 in, and then once we get those in, then we've got to hit the ground running, and we've got to make a better start than we did last season because it was a campaign which it wasn't acceptable for any Lytown team at all. Rolled over, bullied, embarrassed, 6s, 7s. It can't happen. So, yeah, we're really looking forward to getting back, getting our teeth into the group, getting the new additions, getting them into the side, into the squad, and, like I say, hit the ground running and hopefully have a better season than we did last. I
think just having a clean slate, literally everybody from management team to club, everybody around the club, players, just that opportunity to showcase what they can do. People who didn't particularly have a good season, people who had grown into the season and were looking to kick on. I think it's just a nice time now to start again, get back to pre-season, like Grant said, get into these training sessions and just show everyone what we can do as a club and as a young management team, what we can achieve.
Either way then, Grant, it's a massive, massive season for you guys here at Lytown then.
So I think it feels like I say we get some digs. It is what it is. Like I say, we go after play. Like I said before, we've got a target list. We'll go after players, and it seems like at the minute, like I've had feedback off the players that like we want, and quite rightly so. Other clubs want them. That's no issue. Like I say, it's up to the player where they want to go. But at the minute, we seem to be getting kind of the rough end of the stick from other managers saying, "Oh, I wouldn't really go there. They're going to finish bottom. Their staff don't really know what they're doing. They're too young." So, like I say, we've got a point to prove, not to ourselves because we know that we're in the right place. Yes, we're just starting out, but that doesn't make us a bad management group. So, like I say, these managers who kind of want to badmouth us a little bit and tell players that, like I say, we're not the right place for them to be. It's pretty embarrassing, but like I say, it's each to their own, and if they want to get players that way, that's absolutely fine. But like I say, you'll never catch me or any member of our staff badmouthing another club, another manager, because that's not the way we want to do things, really. Like I say, we want to do things right. We want to get everything right at our club, and like I say, we can't be worrying about what people say. That's up to them, and like I say, we'll try and prove a few wrong next season.
And I think that's refreshing to see. I mean, a term that's used far too much, I think, but I'm going to say it now, is right lie town off at your peril. You've got two young coaches here who are absolutely chomping at the bit, and I think the players are going to see this. The players are going to want to play for that. It's going to be a fantastic season for you. I really, really am excited for where this goes, hopefully when the season gets back. I really hope that you'll have us down there to come and watch a game and cover a game for you guys.
Absolutely, Dan.
Absolutely spot on. I think, as I've said there, it's going to be a massive season for you guys. I've really enjoyed this interview today. It's been really refreshing, quite honest. We've got a lot covered there, and I really, really am excited for what the future holds. Thank you so much for coming on, Ross and Grant.
Appreciate you having us, Dan.
No, Dan, thank you. Lovely work. Well done.
Brilliant. We'll leave it there. As always, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the episode as much as I have. Very brutal, honest interview there from Ross and Grant. Really appreciate them spending the time with me today, coming on and letting me know what's happening with regards to the club and the season coming. As always, guys, remember to share this, subscribe to the YouTube channel, tell your friends, do as much as you can. And always remember, be thinkers, not stinkers. Sayonara. Au revoir.